Okay, why don't we go ahead and get started, and whoever shows up is whoever shows up. Why don't we just start with a quiet meditation? Why don't we just take a few slow, deep breaths just to help connect to the body. And as you breathe out, just breathe out whatever tension you may be holding, letting your body relax and soften. Letting your breathing return to normal. Continuing on the out breath to relax, relaxing the muscles around your eyes, relaxing your face muscles. Relaxing your belly as you breathe in, just let it hang and let your belly expand. Letting your shoulders drop. Just letting gravity help you settle you. Settle your body. There's nothing to hold. There's no need to hold. Just settling into wherever you're sitting. let your awareness and your attention come to your breathing. Noticing the sensations of the in-breath noticing the sensations as your body transitions to an out-breath. Each breath arises and passes. Thoughts arise. It's okay. There's nothing you can do about that. And when you notice, just come back to your breathing. Just breathing in and out. The simplicity of just letting it be as it is. One breath at a time. Letting be whatever arises. Letting it pass. And as we come to the end of this sitting, may it be that this practice, and whatever benefit we've gotten from this practice, enable us to view the world through kind eyes, to promote the happiness and welfare of others, to move through the world with compassion. And may it be that the benefits of this practice radiate kindness and compassion into all of your interactions with the people in your household, with the people you meet today, radiating out from you into your neighborhood and town, into the world. May the benefits of this practice be of benefit to all beings everywhere. May all beings be happy. May all beings be well. May all beings be safe. May all beings be at ease and at peace. Thank you for your practice. So today, excuse me, got a little thing going on in the back of my throat. Today I'm going to talk about letting things be, as different from letting things go. Subtle difference. But I thought I would tell a story. There was an old spiritual master up in the mountains in the Himalayas, probably in Tibet, living in a cave, ancient of days, and he was dying. And word got out that the old master was dying, and his principal student was studying abroad in the U.S., and heard that the old master was dying, so he decided he needed to be with him and see him one more time. So he flew to Tokyo, caught a connector to Kathmandu, caught a train and a bus, and got a ride in a car, and then on a donkey pulled wagon. Weeks are going by, and starts his hike up the mountain to get to the cave. By the time he gets there, months have gone by. And he gets to the cave of the old man, and the old man can't even sit up anymore. And he gets to the bedside, and he says, "Master, I'm here. What is the teaching? What is the essence of the teaching?" And the old man looks at him with complete kindness and compassion and says, "Just this. This is it. and he dies. And my takeaway from that story, I love that story, my takeaway from that story is, this is it. Okay? As Lenny Bruce used to say, these are the jokes, they don't get funnier. In your meditation practice, whatever it is whatever it is. I was in another sitting group on Monday, and somebody asked a question and talked about feeling like he's not meditating because his mind is really active. And my response to that was, as it always is, there are no distractions in meditation. Everything is in the field of mindfulness. And then we can notice that we're aware of whatever's going on. And I plucked a quote out of Tricycle in an article by, I'm going to not do justice to this person's last name, John Van Bujdos, I think, Bujdos. So think of sitting on a beach and watching the waves come and go. The flatness of the horizon, the way the clouds appear. Can you control them? Can you make the salt air different? What would happen if we approached meditation the same way? It just is as it is, and we can let it be. That was from an article about Tilopa's 6 nails. Now, Tilopa was a 11th century Buddhist teacher who articulated what had become the 6 nails for meditation practice. And it is really simple. Don't recall, let go of what is past. Don't imagine, let go of what may come. Don't think, let go of what is happening now. Don't examine, don't try to figure anything out. Don't control, don't try to make anything happen. Rest, relax, right now, and rest. I like that. I have a slightly different frame on that because I've been contemplating let be rather than let go. Letting go, letting everything be, and then just seeing it for what it is, knowing it is, it is. Just letting things be. Letting go of wanting or expecting or measuring ourselves or how we're doing or wanting it to be different. All of this can weigh us down as we do our mindfulness practice. And the idea is to just let it be and watch and know it. Whether it's the sensations in the body or the thoughts and feelings, whether it's the hindrances, instead of wanting it to go away, to me, letting go implies wanting it to go away. And that is a kind of clinging. We just get to know it. We investigate it. I'm sitting here. I'm meditating. I notice that I'm thinking about the mess in my garage that I need to do something about. It's not that I'm not meditating, it's just that my mind went there. And I say, oh, isn't that interesting? There may be some feelings attached to that, like, I'm tired, I don't want to do it. Kind of what it is. I mean, notice that in my body. But I'm just letting that process unfold. And I'm observing it. It allows the process to unfold rather than saying, I have to let go, which implies it has to somehow be different. The capacity to let go becomes the capacity to just let be, and we don't stay involved, we don't stay stuck. We just let everything come and go its own way, in its own way. All perceptions come and go, not the objects of perception, but the perceptions come and go. I mean, I've done this exercise several times before. It's like I'm going like this, and now I'm going like this. And some people would think that I'm actually flipping them off, but I'm not. The truth is, I have a tendon injury right here, and it catches right here. So when I go like this, I have to actually... But when I go like this, the mind goes to a different place. And we can decide what we're going to do with that. The object is this. The perception is that I'm flipping you off, but that's not actually happening. What happens and how we describe what happened is separate. So we can just let all that be. Let it be that Ken's finger is stuck. Let it be that Ken is making a hand gesture. Just let it be and not attach anything to it. The more we practice this, and these are things we practice, we don't arrive here, we just practice it. We notice when we're in a place where we can, I'm just going to let that be and be with it. We can start seeing suffering is not permanent. Any particular time and place or situation has a beginning, a middle, and an end. The capacity to let go becomes the capacity to observe and let it be and just watch as it comes and goes. Breathing, coming and going, is training the mind to just watch whatever is arising and passing and letting it be. Whatever is happening in this time and place, letting it be. It'll come, it'll go. Moods come and go, thoughts come and go, the states of mind come and go. We just let it be. We don't try to make it different. We don't say, I have to let go, because then when we don't, we're like we can't usually do that by decree, and now we're stuck in this whole cycle of wanting it to be different and wanting ourselves to be different. And the more we learn to just let things be as they are and be with them as they are, and notice and watch and maybe investigate what it feels like in our body and notice the narrative and detach from it, begin to loosen the grip of the mind, begins to loosen the grip of the mind on fear. We start to no longer feel like we need to attach to a process or have it be different or hold things off. There's a period, I've experienced periods of depression. And for the longest time I would meet with that with some sort of aversion of, I just really need this to be different. I need this to not be happening anymore. And one of the things my teacher taught me, Gil Fonsdale, just let it be. Because the more I fought it and pushed against it, what we resist persists. Just breathe in. This is what it is. And when suffering arises in this context, it's less overwhelming. We've all heard that phrase, pain is part of life and suffering is optional. I've always thought that was probably the most arrogant and uninformed thing I ever heard in my life. But now I take it in this context of, here's what happens, here's what we tell ourselves about what happens. And what I tell myself about a difficult or unpleasant feeling or sensation or situation is this has to stop, this has to stop, this has to stop, which just sort of amplifies it, because I've layered another layer of suffering on top of it by needing it to somehow be different. But the suffering is optional piece comes when I recognize I don't have to do anything about this. I can pause, I can breathe into it, breathe in and out, let it be, observe it in my body, observe the narrative I attach to it, decide not to get caught up in the story I'm telling myself about, and let it be. Because, as the wise old man said, this is it. So, it brings me to a different take on the First Noble Truth. And I caught a Dharma talk on this. The First Noble Truth that life includes suffering. To me, I translate that as life includes grief. And one of the important parts of that is it gives us permission to have our experience, whatever it is, without having to reject it or cling to it. It also suggests that we remember that everything arises and passes. The suffering of the moment arises and passes. Grief arises and passes. Now, I'm not minimizing the intensity of the grief of the loss of a loved one or the million people who died in the pandemic. And I'm suggesting that we allow ourselves to be with what it is, notice what's happening to us, how we're processing it, and let our experience be what it is. So I invite you today to maybe find moments of where, the mind likes to cling to things. It'll see something, latch onto it. Like you're throwing glue against the wall. I invite you to maybe notice times that you've done that, moments that you do that. And just take a deep breath and remember you don't have to do anything. I don't have to do anything about this mood. If I'm feeling crabby, that doesn't mean that I get to crab at other people, but I don't have to do anything about this. Just breathe into it and let it come and go, because it will. So, I thank you for your kind attention. Anybody have any comments, questions, thoughts that are coming and going?
And hi, talk a little bit more about letting things be versus, didn't you say letting things go?
Okay.
Just.
I don't hear all that well. It would help if I could, if you turn your camera on and I can see you. And
Oh, yes, let me do that.
Okay. I don't know if I consciously read lips, but I'm pretty sure that some way I do.
All right, let me tell you. Okay. Hi. I'm on the sun porch, so I don't know if you can see me. It's really bright out here.
Yeah. Here's my take.
Okay, you heard my question. Okay.
Yeah,
you could...
I just had to lean into it a little bit. I'm experiencing, say, anxiety, depression. And I say, okay, I have to let that go. Which to me suggests I have to somehow make it different. I need it to be something else. Gotta let go of that, right? But that, I can't will it away in that sense. Saying, okay, it's time to let go because, the psyche, the body doesn't work that way. So now I'm adding another layer of tension on top of it, right? By needing it to be different. And now I'm adding another layer on top of that, saying I can't let go, so I'm not a good meditator. And, I'm not practicing mindfulness well enough. All that stuff that we do, right? But instead of that, why don't I just say, take a deep breath and just let it be. I don't need it to be different. Just pause. As Stephen Levine used to like to say, breathe into it and let it run its course. Without all the extra energy of letting go so it will be different. Just acknowledge it, accept it. This is just the condition of the moment. And observe it, and it'll pass.
There's more ease with that.
There's a lot more ease with that. Did I answer your question?
Yes, you did. Thank you.
Yeah. It's like all of this stuff takes practice. We live in this don't worry, be happy thing, and we think if we're like, are worried and not happy, there's something wrong. It's just, no, these are states of mind that come and go. That's the way it is. It's an act of gentleness to just sort of like let it be. I'm okay. I'm just feeling a little funky right now. I hope that was helpful.
Thank you.
Julie, you got anything?
Yeah, I have a question for you.
Okay.
So, I've read books by the Dalai Lama and others that say you can use an object of meditation when you're meditating, and most people use the breath.
Mm-hmm.
But for someone who's very visual like me, you could use something like an image of the Buddha or a mountain or a tree or the ocean and just keep bringing your mind back to that. But I'm like, I don't know if that's right or not. Are there a good way to do it? Because I've done it both ways. I've done it with the object of meditation and without. And it seems like, well, when you have an object of meditation, it makes it easier because, like you said, the mind likes to cling. So it's at least if you're clinging to an image of a peaceful Buddha or something like that, or a tree, then you put your mind more at ease. But at the same time, it's like you can't just let it be. You can't just get that clear blue sky that you're looking for if your mind is clinging to a particular object. So it's a double-edged sword, I guess, and I don't know which way is better to do it.
Whichever way works for you. Okay? I have a book that has 300 different ways to meditate. There's probably hundreds more. And if you're focusing on something, we're not clinging to it. We're noticing that our attention wavers away from it, and then we come back. And then our attention wavers away from it, and then we come back. Trying to, I'm going to sit here and meditate on an image of medicine Buddha in my mind, which I've done sometimes. And that's going to fade, and I'm going to wander away because the mind wanders away. The mind wanders. There's this part of the mind that just kind of like does that.
Yeah. I've noticed that.
Yeah, and there's absolutely nothing we can do about it. So I'm not clinging to this image. I'm just noticing, okay, I'm not there at the moment. Let's just come back. I think the question I'm hearing out of your question is the same question that we were talking about Monday night, is thinking that your meditation should be this experience, in this box. This is your meditation experience. And if I'm thinking, I'm not meditating. And if I'm clinging, I'm not meditating. Here's the question to ask. What am I aware of right now? Am I aware that I've wandered off? Am I aware that I'm coming back? Am I aware of the image of medicine Buddha that I'm preferring to focus on, or that I've decided to focus on, and am I aware that it's faded? Am I aware that it's present? Just what are you aware of, and let that be and be okay with it, instead of deciding it has to be something other than what it is. Is that helpful?
Yeah, yeah, that is helpful. Yeah, because you're right. Like when I'm looking at this tree I focus on sometimes, there's one right outside my window. I said, why are all the flowers gone? They had these big, beautiful flowers last week, and now they're all gone. And I started thinking about the biology of the tree and everything. But you're right. It's like you're focused on why is it different? Why can't it still have the flowers? Why can't things just stay the same sometimes? And it's that wanting it to be different that's really at the root of the
It's the wanting it to be different that trips us up every time. Now it's easy for I had some dental work this week. Among my least favorite things in the world. Glad I have a mindfulness practice, because at various points during that 4-hour process, just had to remind myself to breathe into what is happening, unpleasant though it is, and notice that I'm going, when are they going to be done with this? How long is this going to take? And I can't ask them that because the dental thing. And there's some pain afterwards, and I noticed that I was causing myself more anxiety by going to, how terrible is this, and I hate it, and right? But if I can just sit with it and say, okay, this is what it is for now. I don't like it. That's okay. Nowhere does it say you have to like it. Then there's a level of tension to it that I'm not engaging.
Yeah.
Especially, in meditation, people always, that's the most frequent question I get is, I feel like I'm not doing it right. The only way to not do it right is to not do it at all.
Yeah. Well, actually, whenever I tell all my friends you should try meditation when they're suffering, which of course all of them are, and they say, I can't do it. I can't. I've tried it and I can't.
Yeah, because people there's a popular misconception about meditation that meditation means quieting the mind. And as we all know, we can't do that. Some of us I've been meditating since 91. I first learned to meditate in my teens, but really came to it in 91. And the mind doesn't go quiet. And that's the popular misconception. People say, I can't meditate. They're saying, I can't get my mind to be quiet. I saw an interview with Sharon Salzberg. I love Sharon Salzberg. She's just the coolest of the cool. And she's been meditating forever. And she says, decades into it, my mind is wandering off, and I hear noise, and I bring it back. And that process is what Alfonso calls the manual labor of meditation. And that part hasn't really changed all that much for her. But what she's noticed is she's more centered, she's calmer, her concentration is improved, it's easier to go to a compassionate space, right? The chaos of the mind goes on. We just learn to notice it and have a different relationship with it. So when someone says to you, I've tried meditation and I can't, I might ask them, what do you mean by that? And most of the time they'll say, I can't get my mind to be quiet. And then we can have this conversation about the mind doesn't go quiet. We're just learning to observe our process and be with it as it is without needing it to be different.
Yeah, and I try to explain that to them, but you do a better job of that. I'm learning from you how to better explain that. So I appreciate that.
Don't confuse articulate with I know what I'm doing. Yeah, it's a process, and look, some days I get to the end of the meditation, okay, I'm good with that. It was noisy and jumpy, but I'm good with that. And sometimes I get to it and I feel like, and the meditation is different every time. And if you go to my YouTube channel, that talk I did, Thoughts on Thoughts, has a really good, what I like to think is a good discussion of this exact process. The thoughts that arise, there's nothing you can do about it. Once they arise, then you can decide what to do with them.
Yeah, and I gave my cousin the information for your site, so yeah, I appreciate that, Ken. Thank you.
Thank you. We are right at 10 o'clock. Nice to see you guys. See you next time.
Bye.
Thank you.